All right, so we're going to continue on with composition of functions. And this is another method of operations, kind of like we did yesterday where we added and subtracted. It's similar, but it's a little bit different. But still kind of the same thing where we just evaluate two separate functions. So one way that you will see these questions written out is like this. F of g of x. It's not my favorite way to have it written out, but you're going to see that quite a bit. The other way looks like this. F of g of x. So basically, one function is inside of the other function. So what we do is we evaluate the inside first. You could say the inside, or you could say kind of the far left, or the last one. Or far right. I'm sorry, I don't know my left from right. The far right one. The most inside, the last one, however you want to think about it. And then we take that answer into whichever one is next. So we're working backwards, essentially. You learn, read left to right, left to right, left to right. Well, it's backwards, right to left. So you do the inside first. Whatever answer you get, that goes into F. Okay. And there could be more. If there was another letter, you would take that answer and plug it into the next one in line. You'll probably see like a bonus question somewhere where there's like every letter of the alphabet. And you do it 26 times. All right. So let's start with number 9. And we're going to do h of 2 first. So that's 5 times 2 minus 3. You might can do this in your head. What's 5 times 2? Minus 3? 7. Good. If you wanted to use your calculator, again, I know some of you would rather just type it in like this, which is okay for these types of problems. But when there are exponents involved, negatives involved, you are going to make a mistake. Okay, so what you could do instead, do 2, store that as x, and then type in 5x minus 3. You don't have to worry about parentheses when you use the store button. You don't make those mistakes. The only mistakes you'll make is if you just type it in wrong, and the calculator can't help that. All right, so then once we found h of 2, we're going to take that answer and plug it into g. So we're going to find g of 7, which is what? 6. And that's your final answer. Once you've gone through all of the letters, all of the functions, you don't do anything with the answers. Like just your last one, that's your final answer. You don't add them, subtract them, multiply them, none of that. Okay. So number 10, we'll start with f of negative 2. So that's negative 2 cubed plus 8. And you should get 0. All right, which function do I do next? H. And what am I plugging into H? 0. So H of 0 is 5 times 0 minus 3. Which is negative 3. Any questions so far? Now, these 11 and 12, this is just the other way to write it. A lot of people see this and they immediately think that's multiplication, because a lot of times you use a dot for multiplication. But when it's the open circle, that's composition. They look similar, I know. But this is the same thing as having f of h of 0. Those are the same. So we do our inside first, h of 0, which we literally just found. You don't need to retype that in. It's -3. And then we move on to our next function, which is f. And so we'll do f of -3. Oops. And you get -19. I want you to do number 12. All right, so you should get -20. The f of -3 was first. We just did that one. And you got -19. So if you recognize, hey, I just did that, you didn't need to type it in again. And then g is your x minus 1. So we did -19 minus 1, which is -20. All right, number 13. This time we're going to use all three functions. Which one do we start with? H. Good. So we're going to do h of 1 first. So 5 times 1 minus 3 is 2. And then we move on to g. And we do g of 2, because that's the answer I got previously. That would be 2 minus 1, which is 1. And now I have a third one, which I've not had yet. But that is f. So I'm going to go to f of 1, which is 1 cubed plus 8, which is 9. Good. All right. Number 14. Do an f of 1 first. Oh, I know what that is. It's 9. That really was not done on purpose. That they kept. It just happened. All right. So if f of 1 is 9, then we're going to go to g and do g of 9, which is 9 minus 1. That's 8. And then we move on to our last one, which is h of 8. And that would be 5 times 8 minus 3, which is 37. Any questions? Pretty simple. It will, when we have questions like 15 and 16, that's where it starts getting a little complicated. So there's no number there. So we're just working with the functions themselves. And so I'm going to rewrite my two functions, g of x and h of x. Just rewrite them. G was x minus 1. H is 5x minus 3. So what I do when there's no number there, there's really nothing to plug into the calculator to solve. We're going to turn this into one big function. So I am taking the inside, h of x. So I'm going to draw a box around that. And we're plugging that into g. Just like we did up here. We found h of 1. We plugged that into g. We took our inside, we plugged it in. So wherever we see a variable, we're going to plug that 5x minus 3 in. So it's going to become 5x minus 3. And then I still have this minus 1. And then if we combine our like terms, we get 5x minus 4. And that's our final answer. If you have any friends in fourth period, they got to do some of these today that were a lot harder than the ones that we're doing. They're way ahead. Okay. So then number 16, I've got h of x, which is 5x minus 3, and f of x, which is x cubed plus 8. So your inside one, that's the one we plug in. So I'm going to box in x cubed plus 8. And that's going here. So now when I go to plug this in, you need to make sure you put this in parentheses. So we have 5 and then parentheses x cubed plus 8 minus 3. Which is 5x cubed plus 40 minus 3. So I distributed. That's how I got the 5x cubed and the 40. I distributed. And then this is 5x cubed plus 37. So just know, if there's a number in the parentheses, your answer is going to be a number. If there's an x, your answer is going to have an x in it, okay? Any questions?